Welcome to Kids Express.
Join us as we see kids express their love for Jesus
while developing their character.
on Kids Express!
I'm so glad that you're joining us today because we're going to meet a young man who is using his opportunities to witness and going door to door, which sometimes can be a little intimidating. I don't know about you, but I'd be a little intimidated. But he uses these opportunities to reach his goals to be a missionary for Jesus. I would like to meet him. I'm Aunt Francine.
And I am Sofia. Can you guess where in the world our guest comes from? Can you guess which state? If you guessed Minnesota, you're correct. Let's welcome Henry.
Henry, come on over. Yeah, that Minnesota word is a big word, isn't it?
Yeah.
It is. So what did you bring for us?
Blueberry muffins?
Blueberry muffins. So is that a famous dessert from Minnesota?
Yeah, it's pretty big over there.
It's pretty big over there. Do you help your mom make blueberry muffins sometimes?
Not all the time.
Not all the time, but so you have?
I think
Every
we have.
once in a while. That's cool.
Yeah.
So tell us something about Minnesota.
In Minnesota, there's a lot of lakes. So there's over 11,000 lakes in Minnesota, and we get to go swimming a lot. There's a lot of places to go swimming because there's a lot of lakes. We get to go boating. We get to go fishing a lot.
Over there are lots of libraries. Do you like to read books?
Mm-hmm, yeah.
Yeah. And the official state fruit is the Honeycrisp.
Mm-hmm.
Do you like apples?
Yes, I do.
I do.
Me too.
I do. And I know blueberries are good for you too. Yeah. Let's talk about how you're sharing Jesus. I already let our viewers know a little bit about going door to door. Mm-hmm. What made you think about doing that?
Well, it's a good ministry. Mm-hmm. I first learned about it while I was actually on another mission trip.
Okay. So you went to a mission trip where?
It's here in the States. It's a glow mission trip. So we hand out glow tracts, which are little pieces of literature, and they have ranging from all kinds of subjects. Usually, like, we have a health one on the top and a spiritual one on the bottom.
Okay.
We have two in a pack. So we just hand those out. We get about 11,000 out. Wow. So while we were out, the leader told me about the canvassing work, and I went the next year.
So you went out to pass out more glow tracts, and that was part of your mission trip?
Mm-hmm. We passed out glow tracts, and then I learned about canvassing on that trip, and then when the summer came, I went to the canvassing program.
So for those of you that don't know, let's talk a little bit about canvassing, because he was passing out, he decided to do a mission trip and passing out these little glow tracts that are just these little tiny booklets that people can read maybe in 5-10 minutes, maybe 15 minutes. But they're short little reading. But colporting is when you go door to door. So that is what it's called, colporting. Mm-hmm. Tell us a little bit more about colporting now.
So we usually go out for about 8 hours. We just go out, sell books to people, and we like to get books out more. So usually it's not a set price, so we have a range.
Okay.
And we go to businesses, we go to houses, we do parking lots and other things like that. We also do put glow tracts at homes that are empty, or people who didn't buy a book, we can give them a glow tract. So we just sell books and try to spread the gospel by doing that.
So you raise money to help cover the cost of these books, and usually it goes for a project like being a missionary, right? How about some interesting stories? You must have some interesting stories or testimonies of some people that you visited. You want to share any of these?
Sure. Actually, one that I have is just how God answers prayers.
Okay.
Sometimes you're going door to door and you ask for a bottle of water. You ask Jesus for a bottle of water, and when you go to that house...
Because you're thirsty.
Yeah,
it's really
exactly.
a hot day, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
And then the person you go to gives you a bottle of water. Or, like, you say, like, a specific place where you want to get a sale, and it happens. That's happened multiple times while I'm out.
Wow.
And just things like that.
How God answered your
yeah.
prayer.
Yeah.
Because somebody offered you water or a snack or something.
Yeah. I also have another one. I was doing houses, and I got to this house. I canvassed them. I tell them about the books. It's about 4 different books that we showed her,
Okay.
and she said she didn't have money.
Okay.
And so I told her, what's the closest you can come to the amount? And she said about $20. But before that, actually, I asked, are any of these books, do they interest you? And she said all of them, and that they were really good resources.
Yeah.
Another one that I have is, I was going on
So what happened with that one, though? Did she get all the books?
Yeah,
Did
actually.
you donate? And so she gave you the $20 and you still gave it to her?
Yeah.
And hopefully the life was changed by that. You don't
Yeah.
know, but you planted that seed. Okay, sorry. You go on with your next story. Sorry, I was still stuck on that one.
Yeah, we like to pray with people too, so I prayed with
That's
her.
good.
But another one I have is, I was doing houses again, and I got to this house, and I showed this person The Great Controversy, one of the 4 books that we have. Eventually, I got through the 4 books, but he said he didn't have the money for the 4 books, so I told him what one was he most interested in. He said The Great Controversy, but he only deals in cash. He doesn't do credit card or check or anything like that.
Okay.
And he didn't have any money on him. So eventually, I just told him, if you promise me you can read the book, I'll give it to you for free.
Oh, wow.
And he was like, are you sure? And I was like, yeah. And then he goes in. I start going to the next house. Eventually, I get 15, 16 houses later. He comes back riding on a bike and gives me $50.
Whoa.
So God answered your prayer, and He felt compelled to pay you what the books were worth.
Yeah. And then I gave him another one for that. So I think I prayed with him. So that's just another one. And last one I have to share is, I was in Minneapolis. We were, so I was going down the street. We were doing businesses, but I saw someone on the side of the street, and I talked to him. He was with his kids, so I showed him the kids' book that we have. So I showed him the kids' book, and he seemed interested. And then eventually I showed him the other spiritual book.
Okay.
And I showed him the 2 books, and he said he's homeless. He didn't have any money.
Oh my, being homeless, yeah.
That's sad.
But they need to love Jesus too and need to know more about Jesus. You're right. Go on. I can't wait.
Yeah.
So I tell him about the books, and then we get there. He didn't have any money. I think actually he gave me like a few quarters. I think he gave me a few quarters. And I prayed with him, and I told him, if you'll read it and use the books, I'll give them to you for free. So I gave them to him, and we have little things for contacts. So I showed him the contact paper, and he wrote down, I struggle to put food on the table. So it's just a thing to help people with that. And then I hope that'll lead to Bible studies, hopefully.
Right. So you made the connection between his dire need of food and his spiritual need for food, spiritual food. That's kind of interesting, right?
Yeah.
Because you never know what kind of seed you're planting for these people. And the homeless, I mean, that is a desperate need. And that was nice. That was nice that you were willing to sacrifice because that costs money to have these books, and yet you were willing to sacrifice to make sure that he was fed spiritually, at least what you could do, and hopefully make that connection for food. That was pretty powerful. Did you have another question for him?
Do you still do this?
Yeah, I actually do. When I was on the canvassing program, when we were about to leave, I bought some books from the leader, and then I'm using that now to keep going.
Oh, good. Very, very, very good. How has your life been changed by this?
When you're on canvassing programs, you grow a lot, spiritually, physically, and mentally. So I've grown a lot in my love with Jesus, and really growing in that, and also I lost a lot of weight from walking.
Just walking all over the place.
Yeah.
Your exercise, huh?
Yeah. And you just grow spiritually because we do a lot of personal devotions with God in the morning. So personal. So, and then after that we do a worship. And,
Together as a group?
Yeah.
Okay.
And then other things like that. And just seeing other people's lives change by what you did, it's growing.
encouraging you
Yeah.
to do, and finding that good role models to work toward being that missionary that you want to become. Have you ever encountered rejection? Because for me, that would be hard in developing my character. How has God developed your character?
Yeah. When you're out canvassing, you do meet a lot of rejection, but it's not harsh most of the time. It's actually pretty calm rejection.
Okay, it's just like the door closing. No, I'm not interested. And,
Yeah.
Okay.
And you do learn to deal with that and grow in that. I really learned how to control my feelings
Okay.
and my thoughts a lot better by canvassing. And
You're right.
That's just, God grows in that way.
Yeah, and it's nice that you have a team, because when you feel that rejection, or you almost want to pray for these people, because they're not really rejecting you, they're really rejecting Christ. And yet you want to be able to plant that seed and pray for them, I think. But sometimes we all have that time of when we feel rejected. Do you ever feel like, somebody doesn't want to be your friend?
Yeah, at school that happens a lot.
Yeah, that happens a lot. And yet we know that God, we know in Psalms 27 verse 10 that no matter what, even if our parents and our fathers and mother disown us, we know that God will never forsake us, right? We know that that is something that He will always turn, and we always will do what He can for us, and He will take care of us. I think it's time for our questions. Do we have any
Yes.
questions from our viewers?
This question goes to Henry.
Ooh, Henry, you get this question. Okay, what is it? Oh, yeah. Megan from
Megan.
Nova Scotia.
Yes, I enjoy reading books about
Missionaries.
missionaries. It's wonderful to see how God
Performs.
performs amazing miracles. What should I do to become a minister?
Yeah, a missionary.
Yeah, missionary.
So I think Megan's asking, I want to be a missionary too. What advice would you give her?
Yeah, I would give just advice for that. See what God says. Of course, prayerfully consider everything that you do. God brings a lot of people to the mission field on the front lines, but God can use us where we're at, and He can bring us to that. So prayerfully consider where God wants you to go, and He'll lay the plans out for you. He'll lead you and guide you to the way that you need to go. You can be a missionary also by just living, and also glow tracks. Like I said, you can buy them. They're like $6 online for $100, and you go and you put them in gas pumps where the person picks up the what is it called,
The pump.
Yeah, the pump.
Whatever at the pump.
Yeah.
But I think you made a good point, because even my daughter, whenever she would get the guide magazines or the little insight magazines from like Sabbath school she would fold them up and actually start passing them out to other kids, like even other neighbors. So even by doing some of those things with other kids, you can become a witness, right?
Yeah.
We can feel rejected from time to time, but don't let that put you down. Remember, even Jesus was rejected, and you can keep doing what Jesus wants you to do and live for Him today. So live for Him today. Thank you for joining us on Kids Express.